Well, hello there, lovely people, and welcome to this session on breathing with me, Cheryl Lee, at Mind Body Movement. This is the first in a series of about 12 sessions on harnessing your breath to reduce stress and anxiety. So we'll have a check-in. I'll teach you a quick win for calming the nervous system, and then we'll learn a more involved breath and movement combination for naturally deepening the breath, reducing tension and creating calm. I've prepared this session to be done sat in a chair, so you just need a chair and yourself. And if you have a drinking straw available, that would be great. No matter if not, we can improvise. You've got a fist, you can make a little improvised straw there. So I think I might have the beginnings of a cold here, so I feel a little bit nasal, and I do hope that that doesn't muffle the sound too much for this session. Okay, so before we do anything else, let's check in with ourselves. Just take time to arrive, fully commit to the session. Turn off your phone, put it out of reach. Now, close your eyes and let's take a reading of how you're feeling in your body before we do anything else. So sitting in your chair or lying down if you wish, close your eyes and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Notice your breath without changing it. Where moves when you breathe? Where is there movement in your body right now as you're breathing? Don't try to change anything. No need to try to create movement or deepen your breath. Just notice what's there. And if you did feel yourself try to change something, what did you try to do? Just notice that, be aware of that. What are your underlying beliefs about what should be happening and how you should be breathing? So just throw that all away. Just be here now with your breath. How easy is your breath? And how full is it? Are you exerting yourself and efforting quite a bit, or is it free, easy, natural? Is there any strain anywhere? And if so, where? Is there a sense of ease as you breathe? And if so, can you pinpoint where? Feel any pain or tension, and where is that? Now take a note of your level of alertness. How is that for you right now? Notice your thoughts. What's going through your mind? Is it racing? Or is there stillness? And what's your mood? And now open your eyes and reorient yourself back to the session. Now, I'd just like to share with you that I place a lot of importance on movement variability. So that is movement in different ways, moving your body in different ways with different intentions at different speeds, levels of effort. And this is no different with regard to breathing. There are many, many things we can do with our breath that affects our physiology, energy, clarity, calmness, and mood, to name but a few things. So for this first session then, we're going to begin with a quick win for stress reduction using the breath. And then we're going to move on to a more involved movement and breath combination from Dru Yoga called the Pigeon Breath. So let's start with this ultimate quick and dirty technique for less stress and anxiety. It's called the Physiological Sigh. I first heard this described by the neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, who's got an excellent Instagram account and YouTube account, and he does a podcast well worth a listen. So as he describes it, a physiological sigh is a pattern of breathing, and don't try to do it yet, please. We'll just save it for later because you don't want to be doing too many of these all at once. So let me describe it first and then explain what it does. So it's a pattern of breathing of 2 inhalations together, followed by an extended exhalation. So it's something like this. So the extended exhalation is actually through the mouth. Now, in normal breathing, the best advice is just breathe, and if you can, breathe in and out through your nose. But when we're doing a particular technique, then there may be a good reason for using the mouth, and we are going to do that a couple of times in this session. So back to the physiological sigh. This pattern actually occurs naturally and spontaneously during sleep, and it happens when carbon dioxide levels get too high. And it's so simple, though, that we can do it deliberately and voluntarily at any time we want in our daily lives to immediately start to reduce levels of anxiety and calm down. So when I first started playing with this myself, I did too many all at once and got myself a little bit lightheaded. So we're going to do about 3 or 4, but just hang on for a moment until I give you the full picture. So the way it works is this: our lungs, as you probably know, are full of little sacs called alveoli, and these increase the volume of air that you can breathe in and bring into the body. Now, these little sacs can actually collapse over time, which causes oxygen levels to go down and carbon dioxide levels to go up in the bloodstream and the body. And this change in gas levels is actually one of the things that signals to the brain to bring on the stress response. So when we do the double inhalation of the physiological sigh, we kind of pop those air sacs open, letting the oxygen in and enabling us to offload any excess carbon dioxide in the extended sigh out through the mouth of the exhalation. So it's been studied and it's been shown to start affecting gas levels straight away. So this is pretty cool to know, isn't it? That, straight away we are affecting our physiology and we are signaling to the brain, no need to bring on the stress response. Everything is okay. So I'll demonstrate it quickly first, and then you're going to have a go. So it's a double inhalation, and then a long exhalation through the mouth. Okay, over to you. So take that double inhalation and then a long, slow sigh through the mouth. And relax afterwards. Just relax your breathing. Do a few rounds of normal breathing and just notice the effects. And then when you're ready, off you go again. That double inhalation, followed by a long, slow sigh out through the mouth. And then relax. Just do a few rounds of normal breathing and feel the effects. And one more time, do that double inhalation, followed by a long, slow sigh out through the mouth, and then relax your breathing. Do a few rounds of normal breathing, feel the effects. How was that for you? So for me, it's just an absolutely wonderful go-to, something excellent to remember in a stressful situation where you just need to get a hold of yourself and give credible evidence to your nervous system that all is well. Your nervous system can stand down and let you relax. No need to set off stress response. Everything is okay. And just 3 or so physiological sighs like that can start to bring you back to balance and back to yourself and feeling calm and in control. Okay, so let's move on then to the meaty bit of today's session, which is a breathing technique from the Dru Yoga repertoire called Pigeon Breath. So this breath helps us to expand our breath, to remind our brain of the different parts of us that move with the breath, to get a fuller, more natural breath, and to promote relaxation. So just have a think about what happens to the breath when we're stressed and anxious. We gasp, we stop breathing, we hold the breath. Our breath gets shallow. Our diaphragm doesn't go on its full excursion. And our pelvic floor, which works in tandem with the diaphragm, doesn't do its full excursion either. And the ribs, which are supposed to move out in 360 degrees, don't have their full movement either. So we kind of freeze and lock down in the middle. And we try to get more breath by straining with the accessory muscles around the neck. So these muscles around the neck, they are not supposed to be the primary movers of breathing. They just help out. And you can guarantee that if you say to somebody, take a deep breath, most people will go and they will use these muscles. All right. So for most people, what actually their idea of what a deep breath is not actually a deep breath. It's a strained breath using the accessory muscles and not actually a relaxed breath, allowing full excursion of the diaphragm. So just think back to the check-in that we did. Did you notice any strain, and did you notice any strain around your neck? So we're going to play with that before we do the pigeon breath. So let's make use of our straws first, or your makeshift straw. So if you have your straw handy, that would be helpful. So if not, you can breathe through your fist. So what you are going to do is just take a normal in breath through your nose, and then you're going to breathe out through the straw. You ready? So what did you notice? There's a lot of things that you might have noticed there, but the first thing that I'm going to bring to your attention is the length. So it makes you slow down and lengthen your exhalation, doesn't it? Let's try that again. Breathe in through the nose. So I actually can't puff out and do a forceful exhalation. I have to use my muscles a little bit differently. So that's already interrupting a kind of breathing feedback loop that I'm in, and that's always a good thing. A slight interruption, something different. What I was saying at the beginning of the session about movement variability. So what else do you notice? Try again. Nice breath in through the nose. And what I'm going to draw your attention to is maybe a tightness in the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor, when you breathe in, so this is your diaphragm, this is your pelvic floor. The diaphragm comes down, the pelvic floor comes down, and then they both lift on your exhalation. That doesn't happen as much if you're kind of a little bit frozen in the middle, but that's what should be happening. Breathing through a straw and extending your exhalation, you might actually feel that pelvic floor kick in, and with it, you might feel the abdominal muscle gently sort of draw in to help push out the air. Let's try that again, see if you can feel it. Nice breath in through the nose. Did you feel a tightening of the pelvic floor, of the abdominals. Maybe you notice a little tightening at the base of the rib cage here. Maybe you noticed a tightening around the neck. Okay, so partly what I want you to think about when you're breathing out is that you have created a vacuum. So you've breathed out all the air more than you normally do. You've created a vacuum ready to receive the air. So let's just do that again, and I want you to experience the feeling of you've fully emptied out all the air right to the end of the breath, and then you're going to wait, relax your mouth, close your mouth, and just wait for the air to come in through your nose. All right, let's do that. So breathe in through the nose. What did you notice? So you might have noticed that you wanted to gasp for air straight away. So just calm yourself, relax yourself, just allow your breathing to be normal. Don't think about it too much. You'll return to normal. But yeah, that vacuum is kind of a deeper breath than normal. Let's experience it one more time before I give you some visual enhancements. So I'm not going to do it this time. Instead, I'm going to talk you through it. So you're going to take a breath in through your nose with a closed mouth and breathe out as if through a straw. You can do a small aperture between your lips and even put your fist there to mimic a straw. Breathe right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath. And at the end of the breath, wait, relax your mouth, just wait for the breath to come in. And you'll probably have the feeling of a deeper breath. Now just forget about it, relax, allow your breathing to return to normal. Now, when we do things for the first time, a new movement for the first time, we do tend to over effort and to over force. So as I'm kind of asking you to feel the pelvic floor, maybe you can feel that tightening in the abdominals, maybe some tightening around the neck. That isn't how I want you to carry on breathing ad infinitum. I want you to refine that. And instead of feeling that you have to forcefully create it, instead, your brain is going to think, okay, it's those areas are tightening, but now as the breath comes in, I want those same areas to soften, open, and expand with the breath. So let's just take a look at a couple of visuals. Bear with me a second. Okay, so let's look at the pelvic floor first. Okay, so this is an image of an abdominal cavity. So it's an MRI, a moving MRI, and it shows, can you see, that is the diaphragm there, that's the abdominal viscera, and here is the pelvic floor. So it's just on a loop, it's playing again. Just notice, so you've got the in-breath, the diaphragm comes down, and notice that reciprocal movement down here in the pelvic floor. Now, if we're stressed and anxious, actually, that movement is slightly, it's stopped. And as I said earlier on, we freeze and we kind of shut that down a little bit. So it's just nice to know and to see how big that movement is and how the diaphragm works in tandem with the pelvic floor. So when you do your vacuum and you breathe out all your air and then the air comes in, it's a nice image to think of that kind of movement downwards and that fullness in the trunk right down to the pelvic floor, softening right down to the pelvic floor. Okay, so here we have a rib cage. Can I make that a little bigger? There we go. So let's just look at the expansion. So we've got movement out to the sides there, movement out to the front. What it doesn't show so well is movement in 360 degrees. Kind of think of, you know, if you cut a tree and you see all those rings in a tree, imagine an expansion like that, and kind of seeing your rib cage from above. It would be expanding in 360 degrees. Okay, and this next one, I love this one. Okay, so this is an image of the brainstem during breathing. Now it is an amplified MRI image, so it, you know, your brainstem doesn't move quite as much as that. But if you tend to be a person who kind of overuses the neck muscles, that causes a bit of restriction around the neck. Softening the neck muscles, softening the collarbone, and allowing the diaphragm and the pelvic floor to do their work, allowing the ribs to soften and expand, then maybe we get more of that natural movement that should be there right up to the brainstem. So it's not a forced big movement, it's a gentle natural movement that should be occurring with the breath. But by rigid you know, kind of movement, or by freezing in the center, or by over breathing and overusing these accessory muscles, we can shut down that natural movement a little bit. So let's just return. Oh, stop share, that's what we do. Okay, so all right, we've had a look at the breathing through a straw and creating that vacuum. So now I want you to do just a couple more breathing experiments with the straw, but this time you're not going to try to do anything, and this time you're going to imagine. All right, so first of all, I want you to imagine as you've so you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out through your straw, you create that vacuum. When you're ready to breathe in, I want you to imagine a softening and an expansion all the way down to the pelvic floor. So we're just using the mind, we're not trying to forcefully create anything. So when you're ready, breathe in through your nose, breathe out through the straw, slow, smooth, even, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath. Soften your lips, relax. When you're ready to breathe in, let that breath expand and soften down to the pelvic floor. Just notice how that felt. And now, next, let's imagine the rib cage. So you saw that image of the rib cage, and I gave you the image of a tree and that kind of movement in 360 degrees, imagining the rings of a tree moving outwards and expanding with an in-breath. You're going to imagine the same thing as you allow the breath into the vacuum. So breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your straw, your makeshift straw, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath. And you've tightened everything. Now, when the breath comes in, allow it to soften and expand 360 degrees into the ribs. Notice how that felt. Okay, finally, you saw that movement, that natural movement of the breath up towards the brainstem. So if you are over breathing and over tightening around the neck, that is going to be reduced somewhat. So this time, we're going to make sure that we soften. We allow the neck and we allow the shoulders to soften and stand down as you allow the breath into that vacuum. So take your breath in through your nose, Breathe out through your straw, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath. Soften, soften. And allow your breath to come in, soften the neck, soften the neck. Imagine that movement all the way up to the brainstem. Now close your eyes, we're going to do one more. And I want you to imagine now almost that inside your trunk, you have this soft balloon. You've got nothing else, you've just got a balloon, an oblong balloon, and it extends all the way down to your pelvic floor. It extends in 360 degrees and it extends right up to your neck. So the balloon is going to deflate as you breathe out, and then as you breathe in, it's going to pop open softly, expanding everywhere. So breathe in through the nose and then breathe out through your straw. Long, smooth, slow, even exhalation right to the end of the breath, and then soften your lips, soften your throat, and wait for the breath to come in, and then softly expand everywhere, up, down, and outwards in 360 degrees. And notice how that felt. Okay, so let's move on to the final phase of the session today, the pigeon breath. So the vacuum is actually part of the pigeon breathing technique, but we're going to add on a layer of movement with that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the pigeon first. So, first of all, just set yourself up. So I'm going to set myself up, and I do this before I do any kind of breathing exercise. I feel my sitting bones down into the surface below me. I was holding a little bit of tension in the pelvis there, but by imagining two magnets underneath my sitting bones, I allowed myself to let go. And also I'm thinking of my sitting bones pointing directly down, not forward, with the pelvis roll forward, not backwards. All right, so you might want to just roll your pelvis and then come into a neutral center and then soften. So from that base, I'm allowing my spine to rise up out of the pelvic bowl, and I'm imagining it rising all the way up, all the way up, and then it's as if I'm being drawn up by the crown. I have a magnet here drawing my crown, magnets under my sitting bones. So I'm sitting nice and tall, but I'm not straining to sit. This feels relaxed. Chin slightly drawn back. We have a ton of proprioceptors here at the back of the head. So I don't want my head to be forward as I'm breathing. I want my brain to feel this breath with my head nicely balanced. Plus, bringing my head over my shoulders, it opens my airway better. Now, my hands are going to be clasped and under the chin. Careful, the chin is not poking, but you can relax for a moment. I'll just show you this 4-part breath. So part 1 is a breathe in through the nose, and you are opening the elbows. And note a nice expansion at the top of the rib cage under the armpits. So getting to places that opening up places that normally don't see the light. Okay, so it's a nice opening movement for that area, for the top of the rib cage, top of the chest. So part 1 is an in breath, opening the elbows out to the side. Part 2, this is creating your vacuum. So it's breathing out as if through a straw, slow, smooth, even exhalation through a small aperture in the mouth, as if through a straw. And notice that I've brought my elbows down. So this creates an extra layer of compression. Why do I want to create compression? Well, so that my brain feels the tightness in my body, so that when I am then ready to breathe in, I allow that expansion. So sometimes feeling the tightness allows you to expand more, but you've got to do it voluntarily. You've got to kind of be aware that you've tightened and feel it, and then be aware of deliberately softening those bits and opening out those bits that tightened. So it's breath in, breath out, breath in through the nose, and then breath out through the nose, and just relax. So it's a 4-part breath. Let's try it together. So set yourself up, roll your pelvis forwards and backwards, sink into your sitting bones, think magnets underneath, think magnet at the crown of the head, rise up out of your pelvic bowl, but relax down so that you are fully giving your weight to the chair. Draw your chin back, make sure the airway is nice and open. Hands are interlocked and under the chin. Make sure you haven't come forward with your head and neck. Okay, you're going to breathe in through the nose and feel the opening in the ribs and the top of the chest. Exhale, long, smooth, slow exhalation through the mouth, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath, slight compression. And then when you breathe in, expand everywhere towards the brainstem, pelvic floor, outwards in 360 degrees, softening the neck, and then breathe in again. Sorry, hang on a minute. So you've breathed in there, you've allowed the breath in, and then breathe out again. All right, so let's just recap, because I think I confused you there. So 4-part breath. Here's a good way of remembering it. 1, pigeon wings. 2, pigeon coo. Imagine you cooing as you blow out. 3, pigeon chest, filling the chest cavity. And 4, breathing out through the nose. So sorry about that. I hope you've got that 4-part breath. Now let's practice it a couple of times. Okay, so hands interlocked underneath the chin, sitting bones down, crown of the head up, gentle retraction of the chin. And then when you are ready, you're going to breathe in, open your pigeon wings. No strain. Breathe out, slow, smooth, even, right to the end of the breath, right to the end of the breath. Gentle compression with the elbows, but no pain. Wait until the breath inflates everywhere, and then breathe out through the nose. Relax for a moment, and you might want to just circle your shoulders. Okay, let's do 3 or 4 of those, one after another. Close your eyes if you wish. I'll talk you through the process. So set your posture, sitting bones, crown of the head, relaxed spine. Hands interlocked under the chin, gentle retraction of the chin, open airway. Breathe in through the nose, elbows open out to the side, pigeon wings. Pigeon coo, slow, smooth, even exhalation through pursed lips as if breathing out through a straw, gentle compression. And now wait until you breathe into your chest, think pigeon chest, soft expansion, and then breathe out through the nose. Rest if you need to, or complete another cycle with me. When you're ready, breathe in, open the arms, elbows out to the side. Breathe out through the mouth, slow, smooth, even exhalation, right to the end of the breath. Create that vacuum. And now allow that gentle expansion, pigeon chest, softening and expanding down to the pelvic floor, up towards the brainstem in 360 degrees, out in every direction. And then breathe out through the nose. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in, open the elbows, open the chest. Breathe out through the mouth, slow, smooth, even exhalation. And then wait, pause. You've got your vacuum. Now soften and expand all the way to the pelvic floor, all the way up to the brainstem, softening the neck, expanding the ribs in 360 degrees, and breathe out. And relax your arms down. Okay, now let's do a final check-in. So close your eyes. Ask yourself, how am I feeling now? And just as you breathe in and out, notice where moves when you breathe. Where is the movement in your body right now? Does it feel a little more fluid? Do you feel movement in different areas, maybe less tension, less restriction? Or something else? Just notice how it is for you. And if you do feel any tension or tightness, that can sometimes happen when we've tried something new. We might have kind of done something with more effort than was required. Can you imagine a softening and an expansion as you breathe in, calling to mind those images, a softening down to the pelvic floor, a softening outwards to the rib cage, a softening upwards towards the brainstem, and then a gentle deflation as you breathe out. Can you make your breath more easeful? Can you do less effort? Just simply imagine more fullness, more softness, more expansion. So does your breath feel different than at the beginning of the session? And take note of your level of alertness now. How is that for you? And notice your thoughts. What's going through your mind now? Is it racing? Is there stillness? And what's your mood? Now open your eyes and orient yourself back to the session. Well, I hope that was interesting and useful for you. I want to finish by saying that in general, if you can, breathe in and out through the nose. These techniques that we've done today, they're not suggestions for how you must breathe or how you should breathe throughout the day, but rather they're tools that you can use for a daily breath check-in for a few breaths or a few minutes or so to help you to gather yourself and to feel more calm and more relaxed. Thank you for joining me. Be well and have a great day.